Welcome back, Gridiron fans. I'm your online host, Andrew Homan. Joining me is Joe Fracasso to take a look at the SEOAL, SVC, and Mid-State League. So, Joe, let's start with the SEOAL. Give me a recap. What's happening?
Well, going into the game last week, I knew Logan's offense was really good, but being at the game, they impressed me even more. Lane Little's a straight baller, and once again, he just dominated in that game, while Jensen Wallace had 2 touchdowns in the first quarter alone. The defense stepped up as well, which is their only weak spot. They could be looking ahead into the huge matchup against Jackson, but there's just too much talent to lose to Shady Side. Speaking of Jackson, the Ironmen picked up their first loss this past week to Wheelersburg, 28-7. Hunter Sexton had a right shoulder injury and had to sit out that game. But with or without him, Jackson's just way too powerful for Warren. Bouncing off of that, Warren's going to have a tough task facing Jackson, like I said. The Warriors have scored a total of 13 points all year, and unfortunately for them, the Ironman stout defense will keep that going. And last but not least, Galley Academy did score a season-high 29 points this past week, but the bad news is they gave up 76 in that same game. Depending on what type of Athens offense shows up, this game could be really ugly.
Wow, even though it's 4 teams, the SEOAL is a busy league. So let's head over to the Mid-State League. Amanda Clear Creek and Fairfield Union are facing off this week. But, Bloom Carroll, they got blown out last week, so how will the Bulldogs fare this time around?
Well, Bloom Carroll's been that true case of a Jekyll and Hyde team. 2 weeks ago, they beat Liberty Union 49-13, but then this past week, like you mentioned, they had a big loss, 52-7, which leads to this week's matchup against Circleville, one of the best teams in the conference. It'll be tough to see the Bulldogs get that victory.
But a team that hasn't had trouble getting victories this year is Zane Trace. They have been dominant, but they face one of the toughest challenges this week in Paint Valley. How do you see that game breaking down?
Playing an undefeated team is never easy, and that's exactly what the Pioneers have to do as they go against Paint Valley. However, Zane Trace has been insanely impressive on both sides of the ball this season, averaging 47.6 points per game and only giving up 8.2. They're coming off of a second straight shutout and should give a very high-powered offense in Paint Valley fits. After 3 straight losses, the Fighting Tanks offense has been their biggest problem, only scoring a total of 20 points in those 3 losses. It also doesn't help that they did face Zane Trace and Paint Valley in that time, but Southeastern have only 1 win and should give Unioto a win that is much needed.
And I could really see that win turning around the Sherman Takes season, Joe. Thanks a lot. Make sure that when you're at games this weekend, take pictures on Instagram and use the hashtag Glory15. If your picture's good enough, it could end up on our show. For Joe Fracasso, I'm Andrew Homan. Thanks for watching.